Hi, I'm Dean Sage.
And I'm Jack Hervin.
And this is Show Me Your Deck,
a podcast where we explore the intersections of oracles and chakras,
using our original decks to create new insights. Episode 38.
Wow. We're amassing some stuff up in here.
We are. We need to amass some listeners as well, but those will come.
Yeah, they will. The wisdom will be here for them when they arrive.
Yeah, actually, it's a thing now. People go back and listen to all of the old episodes of podcasts.
There's some good ones.
They just go kind of binge through it. I'm running out of podcasts. I need to get some more. I was driving to work the other day and I was like, I don't really feel like this podcast right now. And I went to my list to see, well, what else could I, and there was nothing in there.
Really? I don't listen to podcasts.
Well, I drive 2 hours, 2.5 hours every day. So sometimes I'll call people on the drive home. I'll call up my friend Lisa or our friend Lisa. But on the ride in, it's 6:30 in the morning. No one's going to be like, I'll talk to David on the phone at 6:30 in the morning.
During rush hour traffic.
So podcasts or music. I've been fluctuating. I'm not really a big music person. My spouse listens to a lot of music. So when we're in the car, we listen to music, but me by myself, I'm never really I got to jam out to something.
Yeah, I used to be one of those. Honey, my world tour never stopped. But now I prefer to listen to audiobooks.
Oh, I can't do it. It's too slow. The reading's too slow, and I don't know. I can't get into it. I process reading material so quickly that I prefer just to read it, and then I don't have someone else's voice kind of dictating how I interpret the lines and things like that. I like to kind of do my own interpretation of it.
I'm doing it to practice listening to foreign languages.
Well, that's different. Yeah, that's almost like podcasting. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but with the I tend to go with stories I already know really well, so that I can pick up on what's happening and then fill in blanks. So I tried to listen to the French audiobook for Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, the very first one. Mm-hmm. It's unlistenable. The reader, I don't know, he felt compelled to do a different voice for every single character, and there's a huge cast, and it's a children's book, and they say weird and funny things anyway, and so he uses these voices that are absolutely unintelligible. I can't stand it.
Actually, that's one thing I do dislike about audiobooks too, is the voices, because if one of them annoys me or grates on me, and there's certain things about the human voice, I don't do well with vocal fry, depending on how fried it is and what pitch it gets to, can just it just activates my amygdala.
Lashing out, eating faces.
Well, it's misophonia. It's just another aspect of misophonia. But yeah, there's certain things that the human voice does that will really grate on me, and I just have this immediate rage reaction. And I can't control it, but I can't listen to it. The other one is mouth noises. So if someone's on the mic too much, that they can't control their mouth noise, I just want to reach to the microphone and be like,
do I do that?
Stop it. No, you don't.
Okay. All right.
Yes. No, I would have said something a long time ago.
Episode 38. Jack is no longer with us. Dean finally had enough. Quit smacking your lips.
Well, and it's oftentimes it's because they're using the wrong microphone, and I get very judgy about audio stuff.
Well, what's it called? DSMR?
ASMR.
I want to die. I hate that so bad. It makes me want to gag. I can't stand it.
I think I have the opposite. So whatever people have that was good for, I have the exact opposite. It is
I can't stand it.
Bad for me.
I don't get triggered the way you do with vocal fry, I guess. But mouth noises can bother me if they're too obvious. But that AR, whatever it is, MR, whatever, I can't even stand I don't even like the acronym for it.
Yeah, it's awesome if that's good for you. That's cool for you. But
go eat your pickles then. Bye.
Oh my god. And it's the range of noises. I'm just all of them are bad. All of them are bad. It's bad. Don't do it.
Okay, so there's a craze for this several years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody in TV land knows, and everybody in the world, and everybody in the universe, and all the universes know, they all know that I love Janet Jackson.
Oh, no.
But one day when she did one of those videos and started dragging her fingernails across the microphone, I turned that shit off so fast. I was like, no, not even for Janet Demita Joe Jackson. No, no.
Well, no ASMR from this podcast ever.
I guess we should see if there are any mouth noises coming from our deck.
So see, your dice do make the tapping noise, which
can you hear it?
Yeah, a little bit, like a very little bit.
Yeah, because when I'm putting the audio down for the video track on YouTube, where you should watch the videos, I can't ever hear them rolling.
Well, it may not come out in the final one because I have noise gates on our vocals. So when we're not talking, it basically turns our vocals down to 0. So there's not like that background noise between us. So I have a number of things.
So I could eat my pickles.
No, because I would hear you eating the pickles, and then I would have,
and then I wouldn't get to episode 39.
No, I would have a rage reaction. And it would be bad.
You would go into the universal code and delete, expunge, wipe.
Oh my goodness! All right, let's get some dice.
The tetrahedron of fate here. Let's see what it says. Oh God, the sassy deck, number one. We're gonna get some vocal fry after all. Okay, I have the deck here. Let me see which number. Holy shit. 49.
Wow.
Top of the top. I think that's only happened one time.
I feel like I should have like the clapping sound. It's in the other soundboard that came with the deck. But I should have like the audience cheering sound if we get like number 1 or number 49.
Oh yeah, it's beginning and end of cycles here. So this is obviously Sahasrara. This is, purple crown. I know, and how it's affected by water, ajna, third eye, blue. So how your sense of morality or purpose and connection out to the universe is influenced by what you know and how you perceive the world around you. Mm-hmm. So purple on blue. Play hide and seek with yourself. Get some therapy. Journal your experiences. Review them annually. Play hide and seek with yourself. Get some therapy. Journal your experiences. Review them annually.
So hide and seek with yourself definitely stands out to me there. That's very interesting. I'm trying to process that and picture that, and the context of get some therapy coming right after it. I'm like, oh, okay. So this is where you're like, what terrible thing do I believe about myself that's hiding in the closet that I need to go find and purge?
Yeah. I mean, you could do that for sure.
What was your vision for hide and seek when you wrote this?
Oh, so let's see. This would have been back in 2019, 2020, trying to rewind to what was going on in my mind at the time. That's when I was considering a move from Charlotte over to Portland, Oregon.
Oh, yeah. You were set on, you were selling things.
Yeah, I sold a lot of art. I was purging belongings because I thought I was going to end up in an apartment half the size of the one I was in at the time. The only reason I didn't go was because COVID. I went out there and found an apartment in a building where my friend lived, and it was all set. Everything was going to happen. And all I had to do was go back out there and sign the lease. And then everything shut down for COVID. So, and then Portland kind of went through a lot. 2020 was a lot for Portland, Oregon. And so when I was writing this, I was trying to recover from an experience going viral in a bad way. And play hide and seek with yourself. For me now in 2025, what that sounds like is let go of what you think you know you're supposed to be, and allow yourself to play through the process of discovering who you actually are.
Okay, so release the images, maybe even the false images.
Yeah.
And try to reconnect.
And play hide and seek with yourself. So when you think about the game of hide and seek, you know that there is someone to be found.
I mean, unless you're schizophrenic or something like that.
Well, then you know there's lots of people to be found. You know that there's someone to be found. You're not exactly sure where they are, but you have the exciting process of discovery and finding all the places where they are not, until you finally hone in on where they've been. Unless they're cheating and moving around.
Well, yeah. But actually, just tangent to that, there's a game where they have like an hour to hide, and if the seeker can't find them, then they win like a prize, and they get very creative about where they hide. Like,
I bet.
It's like an abandoned building. They'll like go hide in the ductwork. They'll like climb up and around the bend.
I don't care what the prize is. I'm not crawling around in rat poop and dust. No. And Ebola and whatever's in there.
Well, I have very bad claustrophobia. Like I was never good with it, but then I had a car accident and that like just triggered the massive amounts. Like when I get an MRI, I literally have to take like anxiety reducing. Like I have to get partially knocked out in order to not like freak out in an MRI. And even watching, like we were watching something on television that I won't say because I don't want to spoil anything for you, but we were watching something on television and there was a tight space and I was like, I don't want to watch it. Actually, there's a movie, As Above, So Below. It's a horror movie.
All right.
I almost couldn't finish it because it takes place in the Paris catacombs.
Oh, I've been in the Paris catacombs.
And they're like this is like God, it freaks me out. These cave divers, like they find a little, like this is not in space made for humans. They find a little hole in the ground. They're like, I want to go explore. And then they like break their collarbone and like shimmy on down in there. And I'm like, how do you know you can get out?
How do you know you break your? Oh, they disconnect things? No,
I don't know. Well, I'm exaggerating, but somehow they shimmy themselves down like they're like cats. Like they just shimmy on down through. I'm like, how do you know you can get back out? Like, what are you doing? I don't understand. Like, I don't understand it. I'm like, no. If it is a small space, it is not made for me.
Yeah.
So, but back to discovering ourselves.
Well, you discovered something about yourself.
So the connections here are very high, right? We've got our top two chakras here. So there is more of an ethereal sense to this, but I do like the groundedness of kind of exploring your psyche. I know that the third eye can be about our connection with others, but part of that is kind of understanding who we are internal to all of that, who we are inside, and the faces that we wear and the assumptions and root metaphors, which we've talked about before, but like the root metaphors that drive us, sometimes bringing those to the light of day is very powerful. It's the kind of therapy that I think is most effective because it gets you to cut through all the bullshit and get down to what you truly believe. And when you face that, you can work with it. You know, you can adjust it. You can re-narrate it. My favorite professor, his entire job, he does like 4 or 5 sessions with like hospital CEOs who are totally stressed out, you know, not doing well, tons of, stress upon them. And he'll do like a couple sessions with them and he'll get right to the root metaphor. He's brilliant at it. In 45 minutes, he can find your root metaphor. And he gets paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to do this. And he's because he's good at it. He's very good at it. And it's monumentally changing being able to see your core beliefs in a visualized fashion really exposes who you are at your core and allows you to understand how everything else flows from that.
Oh, yeah. How interesting. I love that. I mean, I love to be a fly on the wall and watch that process.
He did it for us as part of the classes. So, and when we were taking the classes, he had a couple of us volunteer, and he didn't go too deep. Like he didn't do what he would normally do in a session because he didn't want to expose everybody to. Here we go. This is your classmate laid bare for all of you to see. He kind of did like not so like core, but more like moderately important metaphors.
Sure.
And yeah, no, it was pretty incredible to watch. It's powerful. So I think we're in that space right now where there's power to visualize, and if you don't visualize, that's fine, to cogitate. Even mantras in this space are important. So maybe your core metaphor isn't a picture, because some people have aphantasia, right? Not everybody pictures things the same way, but maybe it's not a picture, but maybe it's a statement or a mantra or a belief, like a core tenet that you hold.
Mm-hmm. The card, these are the projections of joy. So this is taking the concepts from the book and the other decks and offering lighthearted suggestions for actually enacting them in your life. Because otherwise it's just a bunch of woo-woo, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so get some therapy. Talked about that. Journal your experiences. Review them annually. I can't tell you how revealing it is to go back and read something that I wrote in one of my journals. It's so evocative. You go back to the moment. You may not remember the actual moment when you were writing it, but you remember the generality of what your experience was at that time. So be sure to date it. And being able to reflect on how much something has changed since you wrote something, whether it's good or bad, indifferent. Understanding the context of what was versus what is very compelling. Mm. And oftentimes quite encouraging. Generally speaking, even when we go through difficult times, we're still growing, and journaling helps us prove that. As a personal trainer, I'm on my clients to journal all the time, because you are about twice as likely to succeed at your goals if you can track your progress. The journal keeps you honest. If you have made a bunch of gains, but you feel like you haven't, reframe that. Let's say that you've been working really hard and you feel like you're not making enough gains, but then you go back and look in your journal and you see the literal gains, then you can't deny them. On the other hand, if you feel like you've been working really hard and you're just not getting any results, you go back to your journal, it's like, you ain't did shit. The journal keeps you honest. Now, what's interesting is when you are working hard and you're not getting results, then we have to look at ways to adjust so that we can get out of plateaus. Again, it's still honest. So journal, coming from the French word jour, implies that it's something you should do daily. I'm not going to sit here and pontificate and tell people to write something down every day. But when something significant happens, write it down and then come back and visit it later.
I'll give an alternative, because actually I'm working on a tarot journal based on how I do it. And I think that other people will be interested. It's kind of, I want to create it for sale, because obviously I would like to support myself by not working for other people at some point in my life. So I would like to create a product for people to actually use, but I'll just tell you, like, I hate journaling. I despise it. There's something about just sitting down and writing about myself that just makes me go crazy. However, I will journal my tarot entries. And because I'm using spreads, I will sort of respond to them question answer style. Mm-hmm. So I do have a journal of the things that I'm thinking about and how the cards, are affecting me, kind of what we do in the premium segment, where I talk about how the reading is interacting with my personal life at that moment. And I do go back and reread some of those spreads and think about how that card's different to me now, but in the moment, like I have a slice of time. And I was doing this a lot when I was between jobs, like when I lost my job and was searching, and even before I lost my job, when I was having a lot of stress at my job, I can go back and kind of reread those cards, and it's very interesting. And for people that believe the cards are telling the future, it's very interesting to go back and look at the cards and then reflect upon how that was or was not accurate about what was happening. For me, they were actually, pretty accurate. They called out, the bad things that were going on, and not the doom, that others might find in it. But, I can definitely see how it predicted a few things. It predicted some stuff in my relationship with my spouse. So it's interesting to kind of go back and review. So if you aren't into journaling in the standard sense, then that kind of thing where you just journal your tarot readings or journal your oracle readings and respond to them, sometimes that's an impetus that'll get you to do that. And then you'll include things about your life, and it kind of serves a similar purpose. I do know like the gem journal is important. I tend to not want to know. We've talked about this before. I tend to not want to know. Like, I don't really want to know what my weight is. I don't want to know what the fluctuations are, because I want to look at like my weight over like 3 years. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like I want to look at my clothing size going down. Those are the markers that I want to see. And those are long-term markers. So I don't want to get caught up on, oh my gosh, I'm up 5 pounds.
Yeah. I don't have people weigh in very often. In fact, I generally don't like it at all. The gains I'm talking about is reps and resistance.
I did when I was working out the way that you taught me. This is like a decade ago now. I did keep a gem journal of what I did. So I would just remember, session to session, what I did and what pound, I was at, so that I didn't forget the next time, because I'm ADD, so I forget things.
To your point about spreads on Samhain, each year I do a reading with the fairy oracle.
Oh.
And I write that down, and I journal. I guess you can't call it journal if I do it once a year, but I annual it. I annual it. And I can go back many years and see what the fairies were saying to me at different points.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. Well,
we still need to figure out a way to include the fairy oracle in here.
We do. Well, I mean, we just have to be prepared for chaos. We just have to be prepared for a chaos episode. Maybe we'll just do that in particular. We will do a chaos episode. I'll get my unusual creatures tarot, and you can get your fairies, and we'll just put utter chaos into the mix.
Yeah, just shuffle it, because that deck I shuffle, so you could just pull something right off the top if you want.
So, for context, I definitely like the idea about like checking in yearly. I feel like that's kind of the theme here. Like, this is a good moment in time. Whenever you're hearing this, this is a good moment in time to kind of look at the annualized things. For me, there's been a couple anniversaries that have happened both in the last months before and ahead. Like my mom's death anniversary is coming up in about a week and a half. So, I think this is a good time to have sort of an annualized approach to things. Mm-hmm. And introspection, so an annualized approach to introspection. So I think maybe the way the reading is going is taking stock of yourself and looking at that sort of annual year-over-year progress, year-over-year changes. And yes, therapy. Mm-hmm. I use the cards for therapy. I do need to go get a therapist, but doing the spreads right and sort of interviewing myself about what's happening, it is a form of self-therapy. Like that's how I use the cards, as a form of self-therapy. I don't try to divine things. It's not really divination. It's more like, here's an external influence looking at your present situation, respond to it. How does it make you feel? Mm-hmm. What are you responding to when you see someone say something, right? Because the cards are saying something. When you hear that, what do you hear? How do you internalize that? How do you use that? How do you turn that over and create something for yourself out of it?
I think of them as reminders. I don't think of them as divination. So the reminder here is to check in with yourself and to try as much as possible to be playful about discovering yourself.
Playful is important. I think when we get so high up in the chakras, we forget that it's important to have a sense of joy, right? I mean, you've got
well we use the word a lot.
Yeah,
we use the word all the time. It's like, oh, this is about bliss and this is about joy. It's like, well, why are you so serious then? I mean, God, tell a joke.
All right, I'm gonna get a card here. Yeah. This is the Sovereign of Waves. These are people's favorite card in the Dean Sage Oracle. You are released from your guilt.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, I still stand by this card. I stand by all four of these cards because to me, the journey through the tarot, the journey through the suits is a journey. And in my deck, it's the Celestial, not the Fool, but it is this being made, flesh, made matter, made physical, journeying through their chakras, learning the lessons of the chakras, and moving their way up to where they can begin to return to the ethereal place that they came from. So in order to do that, you have to master the lessons of each chakra. And in this case, the second chakra is about freeing yourself from guilt. So this is a reminder or a moment or permission to say you are released from that. Whatever it is that is in you right now that you are feeling guilty about, that you've been carrying with you for years, you're released from it. Let it go. It's okay. You don't have to hold on to it. It's freedom now.
Within the context of the first card, it sounds to me like this is part and parcel of the process of going and finding yourself.
Mm.
Is figuring out which parts of yourself you're carrying around for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that you should never have regret, because regret is how we learn lessons. I think regret is important. It has its purpose, but I don't think it needs to become something that we obsess over and habitually carry around. And we're no longer learning from regret or guilt. We're being oppressed by it.
Mm-hmm.
So having a conscience means that when you make mistakes, you feel it. And that is the consequence of understanding that you fell short. Okay. All right. You fell short. All right. At some point, you have to stop falling. And you don't always have to be short. Part of growing means that you can rise up, be tall again.
I was just going to say, if you fall, you have to get back up. You can't just stay down on the ground, curled in a ball, being like, oh my God, I messed up.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that, oh, you killed and ate 16 people and you don't have to feel bad about it. I'm not talking about that. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, oh, you said something that hurt somebody's feelings 3 years ago. Okay.
Well, right. even if you did kill people, right, then should you not have consequences? No, there should be consequences. Especially depending on how it happened, there should be consequences. However, at a certain point, you do have to release yourself from the guilt of it if you're going to move on.
Mm-hmm.
You can keep the lessons of it. Absolutely.
Okay, but this is going to fly away. I have to say it. Here's the problem. Okay. When you journal, you are sticking something into permanent memory. Mm. When you are having guilt, this does not have to be permanent memory. This is an emotional memory that you do not have to have. If you don't journal this into your spirit, it can go away. Now, the first card was talking about journaling or in some way memorializing so that you have a point of comparison to measure for growth. But what guilt can become is it's not journaling. It's more like a brand, like something's been burned onto you.
Yeah.
And this is not what the universe wants for you.
No, and you can have done horrible things and still release yourself from the guilt of them after you've learned the lesson of them. You aren't like, this isn't hell, right? This isn't eternal punishment. I know some people really like the idea of that.
No, I think this place is purgatory, if anything. So, if anything, it's purgatory. But that's the whole point. You can purge this. Mm-hmm. You learn from it. Whatever you did, it doesn't necessarily have to be who you are.
Well, it's not. It's not who you are, and that's the lesson here. Is that it is what happened. It is a moment of time. It was a reflection of where you were at your core, at your moral core, at your spiritual core. It is a reflection of what happened. But that's all it is it's a moment in time, and you can let that moment in time go once you've learned the lessons. Mm-hmm. Once you've embodied the change, once you've narrated your metaphor to remove that failing, that sin, if you want to call it that misstep, if you can re-narrate yourself so that you no longer have that, then you can move forward. I took a cultural competency. It wasn't diversity. There was another name for it when I was in my master's program. I was actually in a doctorate program, but I took a master's and got out. So when I was in my doctoral program, we were being trained how to be therapists. And one of the things you have to know how to do when you're a therapist is deal with people that are different than you. So they had a class on it, and I had a reaction.
Oh.
I had a brilliant Black woman professor for this class. She's brilliant. And we would go through the classes, and I'm like, I just feel attacked. Like every day, I just felt attacked. Mm-hmm. Everything that we talked about, I felt attacked. And at the time, I was technically a cishet white man. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I was, sort of uncovering and dealing with true identity things there. But at the time, I considered myself,
that's how you're identifying.
Yeah, to be straight. And I was like, I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what's going on, but I do know that something's going on. And we're in a therapy program, so I have to be honest and available to deal with this. So I made time with her, and I just came in and said, look, I don't know what's going on, but when I'm in class, I feel attacked. And she was brilliant. She was like, okay, that's actually very natural and normal, because we're undoing these privilege things that you have. We're undoing them. We're unmaking them. We're turning them around. We're revealing the problems with them. And she basically, I think 45 minutes, maybe, she was another one of those, people able to get to the core that quickly. Right. But she was able to kind of unpack it and get me to step outside for a second and look in on it. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, of course, because it feels like I'm losing something that I had, but really what I had was the racist privileges of being a white man. Mm-hmm. And patriarchal, et cetera, right? So, you have to kind of open up and lay something bare. So going into that class, I, probably had a lot of microaggressions I wasn't even aware of. And I, approached things blindly. Now, after that class, I did feel guilty because I was faced with things that I had done that were insensitive or uninformed. And I saw myself from a different perspective, and I didn't like what I was seeing. So I did need the guilt in that moment to be like, oh, this should change. Yeah. This should be different. But at a certain point, I also have to kind of release that. And
well, you've learned the lesson.
Yes.
So you don't need to keep suffering for it.
And it's a continual lesson. So it's not like I'm magically the best white man in the world.
And if you ever happen to meet somebody who you feel that you offended in the past, you can ask them if they were even offended. If they were, you can talk it out. And if not, then you can know that, all right, in that way I was too sensitive about something. But it's a process. Let yourself have the process. And getting past the guilt is what allows you to level up. But you have to learn the lesson. Mm-hmm.
Well, and it's like I said, it's a continual lesson. It's, you have to continually check yourself. So releasing the guilt doesn't mean that you stop with the lesson, that you're healed. It's a journey, right? It's a continual journey. You have to continually deal with it. I have to look at myself and say, am I being biased when I enter this situation? Am I giving people the space and the grace that they need to be them? Am I understanding things from their perspective? Am I allowing for diverse experiences that don't align with mine? Am I listening, right? Am I doing something that allows me to understand them better? That is the continual lesson. It doesn't go away, but I don't have to feel guilty for being raised as a white man in a privileged society and benefiting from that privilege. That doesn't have to be like a weight around my neck my whole life. I just have to be better about what I do with it.
Well, and this idea is very, very old. I mean, the whole point of confession, contrition, and absolution is that you're not supposed to do it again. Go forth and sin no more. You learned your lesson. You've pondered it. Okay, you go forward, but don't do it again. That's the same. That's what we're describing here. This is confession for yourself. Okay, so you confess that you did something that was offensive. You ponder it. You feel your guilt. You feel your contrition. All right, you perform whatever the absolution is that you feel is necessary for this. And then you go forth remembering the lesson, but not doing it again.
I think this is one of the failings of our current liberal culture, the liberal side of culture. Although I saw someone arguing that liberalism is actually fascism. I don't know. I don't know what they were talking about.
That politically okay, never mind.
Yeah,
whatever.
No,
different podcast.
Yeah, I kind of was like, I don't follow this. I'm moving on.
From a political theory point of view, that's impossible.
Yeah.
So whatever.
But we do have sort of an eat your young policy going on right now. And I'm not talking about cancel culture as the way most people want to talk about it. But there does have to be room for contrition, like you said. There does have to be room for people to change. You can't be identified by one action forever and ever. There has to be room for people to grow as humans. And I think that we sometimes get so performative about our compliance with what is right. And I use that in quotes because it's amorphous and defined differently by different people. But we're so eager to be good that we sometimes
performative outrage.
And we glom on to things. And people have to grow. Should people be shamed sometimes? Yes. That's
an instance of this that comes to mind. I guess this happened a year or so ago. I don't really keep up with pop culture anymore. If it's not Janet Jackson, I don't care, frankly. But Ozzy Osbourne's daughter, Kelly, I think she made some comment about Mexicans, if you don't allow Mexicans in, who's going to clean your bathrooms or something. She was trying to be supportive of immigrants.
Yeah.
She said it in a way that was not very okay. But she has gotten, I think it kind of ruined her life. And it's like, that was a slip up. That was a mistake. She didn't even mean it in a bad way.
It was unintentionally bad. Yeah. Coming from a good place, but she didn't understand the full context of what she was saying.
But then as soon as I think it was a post or something on Twitter, but somebody like photographed it or whatever.
Yeah.
Like within minutes of saying it, she realized what she'd said and was trying to correct, and people wouldn't let her correct. And so now she's having to like slice her face up all the time every time she goes in public. It's like, I don't think that's helpful.
Well, is public shaming helpful at times? Yes, because especially I think shaming people in power is what is really important. Sometimes you need to be confronted with the problem.
Sure, confront her for a week and then leave her alone.
Or just be like, "Wow, do you want to try that again? Do you hear yourself? Like, as you say this, do you hear yourself?"
She did hear herself, and she immediately tried to course correct. And now, for years and years, that's what people on the left want to throw at her every time she tries to come out in public. It's like, that was a mistake she understood as soon as she made it. And, sometimes the reason we can't forgive ourselves is because other people won't let us. And you have to decide when you've done enough contrition. In some instances, I think you have to decide for yourself that what other people are saying is no longer relevant to your internal state.
Well, despite the third eye being here, this is a very internally reflective reminder reading, divination, whatever it is that we're doing. There's something very internally reflective about this, where you are using your third eye upon yourself and seeing yourself as an outsider would see you, trying to gain a new perspective. But it's definitely internal. And yes, other people are going to try to give you consequences in concordance with their beliefs, and you can't control that. You can't control what other people do. You can do your best to honestly show the contrition that you have. You can honestly do your best to show your change. If people don't accept that, people don't accept that. You can't change them.
No, but it's your own path of growth. So.
Well, that's in the end, it's, you got to be right with you. You gotta align yourself and align your own chakras. And yeah, if you are someone that a lot of people see and you misstep and they want to eat you up, that's going to happen. And
well, you've used the word misstep a couple of times at least, and let's look at what that is. That's an literal error, to err. An error is a misstep, and errors can be corrected.
Well, I use it because it's the actual word for sin.
Yes, I know. Where we get the word error, to err. To err is human, to forgive is divine.
I think, especially with Christian nationalism on the rise, the Western context for sin has become unbearably overarching. In evangelicalism in particular, it went from, because in Catholicism, you sinned, right? You erred. Like you said, you would go confess, you would be given some sort of punishment. And then once that was complete, you were forgiven.
Your absolution, yeah. Mm-hmm.
In evangelicalism, we became sinners. We became a destitute, fallen state that is unmanageable. We removed purgatory. In evangelicalism, there is no purgatory.
Which is weird, because purgatory is mentioned in the Bible in kind of a roundabout way when they talk about how if the house burns down and you're still alive inside or something like that. But there is a spiritual reference to purgatory, but they got rid of it. And it's like, but then you have no opportunity. You have to always be perfect, or else you always, well, anyway.
Well, that's exactly the point, is that it moved from guilt to shame. So sin should be guilt, should be in the second chakra. It should be like, oh crap. Like Kelly, like, oh crap. Yeah. I was trying to say something, but capitalism and white privilege got in there, and I didn't notice it. And God, now that I hear that, I'm like, I can't believe I said that. That should be guilt. But it has moved to become shame, where it is not you did something wrong, but you are something wrong.
Yeah, there's something wrong with you in the first place to say that.
Yeah. And I mean, yes, if you come from a white privileged background, then yes, there is something wrong there, right?
But not with you. It's the situation.
It's the system in which you are existing. Capitalism, they're like I've said this before, and I'll keep saying this. There's no ethical consumption under capitalism. I just, before we got on the phone, I drank Coke. Coke did some bad stuff, and there were some boycotts. Now Coke did some good stuff. They rejected anti-DEI policies at their shareholder meeting. Does that mean it's now okay to drink Coke? Coke still uses the same labor that it's used before all of this. All these policies that they do in America has nothing to do with its supply chain.
Yeah.
So, am I better or worse as a person for drinking Coke? There's no way to honestly answer that. It's the system that we live in.
Yep.
I think we need another card. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want yours or mine?
Yours, please.
Okay. We're going to deck number 2. that is the literal professions. And we're going to use number 29. Why do I feel like this came up recently?
I don't have that far back in the notes, but I think you might be right.
Oh, honey.
What?
Are you ready?
No.
Oh, honey. Okay, this is aqua on aqua. This is the beginning of the Vishuddha cycle. This is I say. Okay. So it's a very pretty card. It looks like the sky. It's aqua on white.
I don't see these cards as much.
I profess that I say truth kindly and kindness truthfully, especially to myself.
Okay. Yeah.
You are released, honey.
Yes. Well, this is the perfect follow-up because yes, you're released from your guilt. It's okay to let go of these things that you find within you, because these core guilty moments have become core shameful moments, and you have rooted in your metaphor this I am bad, I am wrong, I am unworthy. Like you've rooted this in your core metaphor, and now is the time to turn inwardly and with your third eye, look at yourself and speak the truth. You are not bad. You are not wrong. You are a person who has erred, right? You are a person that has misstepped. You exist in a culture that controls many things that you have zero effect on. You have like, I can't control the fact that cops don't pull me over. Like we went to the bar last night and I drove home and my blood alcohol wasn't bad. I wasn't intoxicated or anything like that. But if I had gotten pulled over, probably would have just been released with a warning, or they would have said you failed to signal, right? If I were a black man, my life might have been on the line. I can't control that, right? Mm-hmm. I can't control the fact that I benefit daily from the system in which I live. But I have to be honest with myself, and that is that I am trying. I am attempting to be better in what I do and how I live.
I profess that I say truth kindly. So make sure that when you are honest, you're not weaponizing that honesty. Truth doesn't have to be hurtful. Sometimes the truth hurts, but not always. I say truth kindly and kindness truthfully. So don't just flatter. Don't just flatter. Empty kindness, that nobody wants that. And if they do, they're probably not very well adjusted as a person.
Well, don't fluff yourself up, right? Don't
or anybody else, especially to myself. I say truth kindly and kindness truthfully in general, especially to myself. So don't fluff yourself up, don't delude yourself, but also don't use the truth to like slice your face open. Okay, I did this and it was bad. And I have to like just martyr myself. It's like, no, you don't.
Yeah, I mean, this is not flagellation. This is not whipping yourself to be, the mortification of the flesh. Like this is the Buddha. The Buddha did it all. This is why I like the Buddha. The Buddha did it all. Mm-hmm. The Buddha lived in extravagance and hedonism. The Buddha lived in asceticism and mortification, and kind of like, hey, I think there's probably something through the middle of these two. Mm-hmm. And I just love that idea because it makes perfect sense. Like, don't go to the extremes. Like I don't know why that was ground shattering at the time and earthquaking. Like, I don't know why that was such a new idea at the time, but it just undid centuries of religious thought because it was just like, hey, you don't need to go to the extremes. You can live in the middle. And I think this is interesting too from moral philosophy. Like when it mirrors it. Moral philosophy mirrors the Buddha's journey because it's like, is it just that you do a lot of good things and that's what makes you good? Or is it that you always follow the right rules and that's what makes you good? And true morality kind of lies somewhere in the middle, whereas you should intend to do good things
and then follow through and do them.
And then you should also have some guideposts on the things that you do. So when you have a tough decision to make, you have something to, rely upon other than how much good you think it's going to do. Because sometimes you have to do something that maybe doesn't put out good, but is good in and of itself. And that's a tough thing. So like, yeah, this middle way, there's a middle path through this, and it starts with you. It starts with you understanding you and speaking kindly speaking true words to yourself. So this is again, we're back here again to your core metaphor. It's time for you to see it, release the baggage, the millstones, the flagellation, release all those things that you've been beating yourself up with, and just stay exposed to truth.
And tying it back to the first card, the context card, consider the ways in which you were or were not doing whatever is, valuable to you a year ago, 2 years ago. You can still use this as a mark of growth. The way, the degree to which you are remembering to speak truth kindly and kindness truthfully, especially to yourself. I mean, to other people too, but especially to yourself. And I don't know, the little kitten scampered away. I don't know what I was about to say.
Well, I'm just reminded that, like I've talked about it in the premium podcast, a little bit on the regular podcast. The work that I do, sometimes there's hard things to do, and for the good of everyone, sometimes I have to take negative actions on one person. And that's always tough, like, and from a moral perspective, from a core metaphor perspective, you're doing negative things, right? I might be disciplining, I might be firing. Like, there's negative consequences to the actions that I'm taking, but I'm also looking at the good of everyone else and the continued employment of everyone else and the success of the group in regards to the individual. So this is kind of, there's going to be moments, right, where you do something, and then later, like a year later, right, as you kind of annualize your growth as a human, you're going to look back and go, ooh. And I do that. I was in my previous role, and I did something, and at the time I felt very wrong, and now that I look back, I'm like, yeah, I was wrong. Did I have the ability to stand up and stop it? Not really. It would have happened anyway. And it would have harmed me in the process. And that's, that's a moral quandary. That's not an easy answer. I might have lost my job if I'd stood up and said no.
Mm-hmm.
So then I have a moral responsibility to my family. And, this is where none of this is easy. None of this is going to get laid out simply. Just because you have a core metaphor doesn't mean that every decision is going to be easily made. But it does mean that you will understand where you are coming from, and you'll have to decide, where is the line which I will not cross? Where do I want to live? Where do I want to exist? And how do I do my best to kind of stay in the zone of what is good and right for me?
Yeah, I want to hear from your deck now.
Okay. All right, we got one here. Oh, 9 of Storms. So we're in the heart chakra. 9 of Storms. The sharp touch of icy wind clarifies everything. The sharp touch of icy wind clarifies everything.
So I think this sounds, within the context of our reading today, this sounds like the uncomfortable realization.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are 2 ways to deal with the joy in your life when it has gone. You could chase it again and again, trying new ways to get that high, eventually running up against a wall or finding yourself empty. Or you can accept that everything that comes also must go. Joy is not a state, it is a moment. And in the absence of it, you feel the clarity of what it meant to you. Like an icy wind on the top of a mountain, you are suddenly clear and focused on this exact moment, where you are right here, right now. You may feel the loss more acutely than you did before, but you are able to see things clearly because of it. It may be something that needed to leave. It may be something dear to you you thought you couldn't bear to be without. Let this icy wind touch your cheek. Let yourself gain the clarity of this vantage.
This has been a reading from the Gospel According to Dean. Plug your book. Do it now.
Yes, I have a book. I did the deck, and then I did an explanation book. So the book has the upright and reversed. I call it balanced and unbalanced because I don't really like reversal as a concept, but that's just me. And then I have some journaling questions that you can use to kind of spark your own tarot journaling, like I was suggesting that you do. And then I have sort of like a summary where I do get a little, someone might say preachy, but I kind of give my own take on that stuff. And those are what I read to you from time to time as the summaries of the cards.
Very nice. So what are you taking from that reading and applying to the cards right now? Was there any passage that stood out the most for you from that?
Yeah, I think it's that joy is a moment, not a state. I think I think that's really important to this, because the heart chakra in balance is peace. It's not steady joy. It's peace. And your professions of joy, like they're moments, right? They're achievements, they're flashes. But you have to return to a state of peace, and here the icy wind helps you focus, right? So like just imagine like you step outside and whoo, just that sharp touch of that icy wind. You're like, oh, okay, I'm right here. Like your body says, okay, we're right here. We have to deal with right now.
I feel that one of the outright lies we've been sold as consumers is that we can achieve and that we deserve and we ought to have and we must attain constant bliss, constant joy. And it's not true. And as a result, people are finding that they are not in a state of constant bliss or joy. And then there's disappointment, and then there's disillusionment. And then, there's all these other problems that come from disappointment. But everything gets a lot easier when you recognize that just being chill, just being stable, just being quiet is really awesome. And you have these moments of happiness or sadness or, whatever, but those aren't your permanent states. Your body isn't built for that. We can't handle the hormone overload. Stress is corrosive.
Well, there's drugs that mimic joy, right? That manipulate the neuroreceptors, and it's very damaging. Not just because it's a drug, but it's very damaging to constantly be on high. The first time I heard this term, I think it was in 2021, 2022. They were talking about the increase in deaths of despair, and that includes drug overdoses. And it's people who are so down, so out, that they chase chemical highs until they actually die. And I mean, they also sometimes are chasing chemical numbness, which is the other side of this, which is, you need peace, but you can't find it. You want to numb yourself to everything in order to achieve the peace, rather than try to find peace within yourself. You look to just exit yourself completely, just exit yourself.
Yeah. So instead of being proactive about creating that kind of peace or clearing the confusion away and finding it where it already is, it's I wouldn't want to call it an easy way out. It doesn't sound easy to me at all, but it's not proactive.
Well, and it's easy to jump on them and be like, they're lazy. No, they found something overwhelming and unmanageable, and they found something that managed it.
Yep.
And it wasn't, oh, let me just escape to escape. It's not like, let me just, go to the beach. It's not that kind of thing. It's not like, I'm going to take a sick day. I'm just going to take a mental health day. Like that's not the energy that this is. This is, oh my goodness gracious, I cannot deal with this. I am at my wit's end. I don't know what to do. And then suddenly here's this thing that makes it better.
Yeah,
it has consequences, but it makes it better. And the problem is that it's the only thing that they have in that moment that makes it better. And so they keep using it because the alternative is hell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So as you're taking this inner stock of yourself, as you're dealing with your core metaphor, right? As you are looking at the way that you speak truth kindly to yourself, the way that you're truthful with yourself, you're not fluffing yourself up. You're honestly looking at your skills, your ideals, your root metaphors, the being that you are. As you're taking stock of that, you have to remember that you're trying to achieve balance through all of this. You're not supposed to be this great person all the time.
You don't have to be perfect. Yeah, you don't have to be perfect.
Like I go to Wicked for a second, which I talked about it earlier, but I don't often listen to pop music outside of my spouse because my spouse is all into pop music and shares it all with me. Mm-hmm. I don't go, oh, I need a new album, right? So I have show tunes. Mm-hmm. I have Agatha All Along. I have Wicked. I have Hazbin Hotel. And then I just recently, because of the 30th anniversary, added 2 songs from the Goofy movie. So I have the weirdest playlist. Mm-hmm. But what it does is it evokes images and moments and feelings that I had when I was watching this media. So I like that reminder. But there's a song Popular from Wicked. Are you familiar?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That is chasing joy. Like yes. That entire song is about chasing joy and being, and the character of Glinda goes through this journey in the musical of understanding that she can't do that. But when she starts off, she's very wide-eyed and everything's been handed to her and the world is wonderful and she can be popular all the time and it's very easy and you just have to do the right things and that's you're talking about the culture that sells that. That's what we've been sold is if I buy enough stuff, if I buy the next video game or go to the movies or turn on the internet here or listen to this podcast, like I can just
find the answers. It'll be the answer.
No. I'm just going to eat it up.
Yeah, the solution is there.
We're constantly chasing the next high, the next hit, and it's exhausting. I talked about it earlier. I was having some trouble with my heart rate being too high due to stress. Well, it's come down. I've been kind of doing some anti-stress things. Part of it is just letting go of some stuff that I was holding on to.
Did you get a voodoo doll?
No.
Oh, you should get a voodoo doll.
But one of the things I'm trying to do now is I try to come home. I try to just go sit. I grab a Coke. I go sit on the couch. Yes, I do scroll, but I've kind of got a curated feed where I'm scrolling through things that are, not dragging me down. And just 30, 45 minutes of that after I get home, even though it's not productive, I've just kind of allowed, it is productive because I am returning my body to a state of peace. It's been a long day. It might've been a long drive. There might've been a lot of traffic. Like there's a lot of things that can stress me, but I need to just, for my own health, come back down. And I think that's what this card is kind of reminding you, that for your own health, you need to be in a moment and you need to be right here, right now. And by doing that, you're going to release a lot of things that are blocking you and bringing you down.
So in looking at the connection back to the other cards, this card mentioned the bracing wind on the face. What was the card?
Yeah, the sharp touch of icy wind clarifies everything.
When you have this moment of clarity and you recognize the solution or the answer or, a process or something that gives you this this path towards peace, take it and start working toward being free of guilt, looking at the ways in which you can express yourself honestly and kindly. There are moments when we're in self-reflection where the realization can just light up right in front of our face. Well, that's the cold air that this card is talking about.
Yes.
When your instinct kicks in, listen to it. Whatever it has helped you realize, work from there. Act on that. And let that come back around to how you talk about yourself and other people. And let that come back around to the strides you make towards growth and understanding that you've paid the price and you've done the penance and you can let go of the guilt, and come back around to the idea that this is all part of the process of finding out who you actually are. Because we think we know who we are, but we don't really know who we are.
No, it's part of the journey of discovery.
Mm-hmm. So when those moments present themselves, be thankful for them.
And I like they said, instincts. There is going to be sort of a guttural, like when it touches your core metaphor, it will be a very guttural reaction, a very guttural experience. It will tap into deep emotions, and you will sometimes feel yourself freeze because of the deepness and the like the central nerve, like it like goes to your central nervous system and grabs onto your spinal column, and it jolts you. And that's kind of what it's supposed to do, because this is an opportunity to let all of the work that you've done on yourself come through.
And just remember the first card, play hide and seek with yourself. Not all this has to be arduous and toiling. It can be fun to grow.
That's where the release from the guilt comes up, is that when you go back and take stock, don't relive the guilt. When you go back and play hide and seek with yourself, you have to let it all go, and you have to forgive yourself.
You can remember the context without reliving the moment and reabsorbing the shame of it.
What did I learn? How am I different? You have to add those things in there, and you have to be in the now. And in the now, there's no time to be weighed down by all these things that you want to berate yourself about, and all these terrible things that you've done, and all the reasons that you're a bad person. Like, just, that's so much weight. And if you just bring yourself to the present, it's not there. That's all things that we carry and we don't have in front of us. We need to be in a moment to let these things slip away, to look at ourselves honestly. And yeah, like you said, play. This is why I like tarot journaling, because it is a little bit of playfulness.
Something about what you just said reminds me of being in elementary school and having recess. You do all this work and you work, but then you go outside and play. And you come inside and you work, and then you go have lunch. I don't know why we don't allow ourselves to continue working that way, where we have structured play and structured relaxation, and you can be productive in terms of working on yourself or at your actual work. But or maybe it's just an American overworking culture concept, but
a lot of it.
I mean, have fun.
Yeah, there other countries, there's 6 weeks of vacation. They shut down the company for a month.
France.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like Norway and Sweden too.
Yeah, they all do it, and their workers are so productive. And when you look at the annual happiness index, I think it's called, it's always the same 5 countries shuffled around in the same top 5 places. Well, always. You did hit on there is a very American overwork thing. Like, being in my office feels oppressive, because like I'm always supposed to be, like, for 8.5 hours a day, give or take, I'm supposed to be completely
productive every minute of every day. And if I have some downtime, I go, oh my God, what's a downtime? I need to be working, and even in those times where I'm like, I just need to de-stress, like I just need to take a minute. I need to breathe, right? I've got my Apple Watch. I do the breathe app. Like even in those minutes, like it's still in the kind of the back of my head. It's like, there's this little, and that's the tension that we need to fight against if we're going to remain balanced, if we're really going to open our chakras and really create, the rainbow bridge. We have to let some of those things go. And honestly, a lot of that I put on myself. Like my boss loves me, compliments me. His boss shook my hand. I gave a presentation, and one guy, the doctor, presented like 7 slides. I presented 2 slides. And apparently, like I was so good that the COO of the hospital gets up and shakes my hand, like literally stops me to shake my hand. And he told me, it looks like you've been doing this your whole life.
I love those kinds of affirmations.
But I mean, this is what I'm getting, and still the little spiders in my mind.
That's because your past bosses were assholes.
Yes. And I can't unhear it. It's something I need to get back. I haven't journaled in a year, I think.
Well, an observation you've made of me is that when I'm making something creative, I'll get all this feedback and it'll be marvelous. And one person will say one bad something, and then I only focus on that. Here you have the C-suite knowing your first name, calling you solid, shaking your hands, and you're worried about some asshole from 2 jobs ago who doesn't deserve to even know your email address? Come on now.
I'm right with you, and it affects my creativity. As much as I'm, reflective of your creativity, I'm reflective of my own.
We're all looking in mirrors. It's fine.
If I sit down to write, I've got this inner critic, then I have to be captured by the muses or manic in order to overcome the critical twittering in my brain. Yeah. So, I dispense all of this, information to all of you out there listening, and please, understand that I'm right there with you.
So one of the reasons why I have taken several steps back away from the men's group that I was so deeply involved with was because, number one, I felt like it wasn't really helping people as much as they thought it was, that they were just saying, oh, I'm so much better. And I was like, no, you're not. You're doing the same shit you were last year. And beyond that, I also felt that if I make any mistakes, then what does that mean? That I'm the teacher of this and I'm not even doing it. It's like, I don't know. I don't want to be a guru. I just want to share what I know and learn from other people. And if it's helpful, fine. But the idea that I'm an expert at any of this kind of, I don't know, it kind of makes me...
I have to affirm, you are an expert at a lot of things.
Well, thank you.
You are a guru, and people come to you, and they should. And I have things that I'm an expert at, and people come to me, and they should. I have experiences and knowledge and understandings, and I see things differently. You see things differently. That's powerful. And you listening right now, you have things. Everyone has things, and part of this reading is, you're going to come out of it with a better core image of yourself, a good, honest inventory of yourself. And I think you'll have a better understanding of the things that you are good at. And our friend Lisa would say the things that you're here to do.
I'm having a moment that is growing directly out of the reading, the 4 cards in front of us right now. And something I just said about people saying that I'm helping them, but they're still doing the same stuff they were a year ago. Mm-hmm. I think part of what I've been struggling with is the idea that that means that I'm a failed teacher if my students don't change. Mm-hmm. And that can't be true.
No.
If I work real hard to present material for you and I dispense it to you in good faith and you say you understand it and then you don't apply it, that's not because of me. And that, I've been struggling with this for about 6 or 7 months now. The idea that if people don't change, it means I'm not a good teacher. I don't think that I can take that responsibility anymore.
I mean, the Buddha said, "Don't make a religion," and look what happened.
Yeah.
Jesus said, "Don't make a religion." Look what happened.
Yeah.
People don't learn from the teachers all the time, but their knowledge and their words are out there, and like the cones, like the Zen cones, they strike like lightning, and then there's just dull thunder, and not everyone's going to get hit.
Yeah. Oh God. Let's do a fifth card. Where do you want it to come from?
I'm going to pull from mine. I just have an inclination. She's been very talkative today, so I want to. Oh, I love it. So this is the Major Arcana number 11, Defend. You are called to defend the actions you take.
Okay, well, that's an interesting way to wrap all this up. So what we've been talking about is learning about yourself and being honest with yourself about what you're doing and how it impacts people and yourself. Okay, well, here we are. You're coming a step closer to understanding yourself a little bit better, and you're making choices to ascend towards that higher version of yourself, and people are going to have questions. And you're going to need to know why you're doing what you're doing. You're not just, stabbing around in the dark looking for answers anymore. It's like, no, you've done introspection. You've been thinking about your sources of shame. You've been thinking about what happened with that. You've been comparing yourself to as you were before. So what do you have to change in order to grow? And that's going to interrupt sometimes the way people have become used to understanding you. And when they have questions, you should have answers.
So I love that you said questions, because instead of reading the summary, I'm going to read the questions. Do you believe in what you are doing? How did you share your values today? Do you think you should because you can? Yep,
and those are the core questions when you are going forward on this journey of growth and metamorphosis. Really, what is the point of doing it if you don't know why?
So I struggled with this card because there's
what is it in the regular tarot?
You know what? I can't remember if it's called Justice. I think it might be called Justice. It's my brain is shattered. Let me look it up. This is why you keep notes in your computer, so that you can reference back to what the heck you did. Number 11 is Justice. Yep. So it's the Justice card in the tarot.
And that, I know we're not looking at the tarot and we're not looking at justice, but even the word justice in connection with defend, I mean, that implies that that there's a structure within which you can make your choices and operate freely. And what is it? Ping pong. What is it called? Pinball off of other people without hurting them. Mm-hmm. We have to be able to live our lives and brush up against people without breaking them. We have to bump up against things and not knock them over. So everybody's trying to live their life. And what the law does, what the system of justice does, is help us understand how to navigate when two paths cross in a way that's, damaging to at least one of the people involved. So when you have a card like Defend or Justice, understanding the purpose of your changes, understanding the reason and the direction, isn't just for other people to understand, it's for you to understand.
Well, that's this card, right? So the tarot has, it's big. They take big swings in the tarot. That's fine. It was intended to be big swings. For me, this is about the fact that when you defend yourself, it's not that you've done something wrong, but you need to, from time to time, take stock, like we've been doing, like this whole reading's been doing. We need time to time to take stock, and you have to defend to yourself, to your own moral compass, what you've done, and you need to take the verdict and use that to inform you. Like I said, there was some times, and I'm speaking of one specific time, where I can't defend that action. I know why I did it. I would probably do it again because, like I said, I have responsibilities to my family. And at the same time, maybe it could have gone a different way, but I didn't want to hedge that bet. I didn't want to double down on that bet. But I have to defend that action.
When you do successfully and honestly defend something, because the defense might find that it is indefensible. But when you do, that goes right back to the card about being free of your shame.
Well, and when I said I would likely do it again, if I were in that same situation, I would likely do it again. In my current situation, I would not do it again because I know that I have freedom to push back on something that I don't agree with, that I do feel is inappropriate. I have the ability to push that back. I just had an instance where there's something going on in the medical record. It looks wrong. Like it's phrased in a misleading way. And I tried to get IT to change it, and they're like, nope, we're not going to change it. So I went to the lawyers because I feel very strongly about it. I went to the lawyers and I said, look, I think this is a problem. I think that the fact that it is misleading in a medical record is a very big problem. And the lawyer was like, yes, that's a very big problem. Let's talk to the person that's in charge of our litigation and see what they say, make sure that we're seeing this the right way. But yeah, like I have the freedom to do that. I didn't feel like I was going to get in trouble for what I was doing.
Okay, good.
We have a members only version, a premium version of the podcast through Patreon. You can hear how Jack and I experience the reading for ourselves, what we take away from it personally, and how we're going to integrate it personally into our lives. It's a great way to support us. You can also go to YouTube at Show Your Deck and see the cards that we're talking about. So you actually see the cards that we're pulling and get a video podcast of a sort. Where books and our decks are available at showyourdeck.com. So that's a great way to support us. Come buy our books, come buy our deck. Well, books, Jack and I, and then decks, plural for Jack. So you
I'm extra.
You can get that at showyourdeck.com. Jack, where can we find you?
49 Haiku, the number 4, the number 9, HAIKU. On the intrawebses, that would be 49haiku.com, and on Instagram, it is at 49haiku.
I am Dean Sage Media. Find me where you dare. Our show has an Instagram. It's at Your Deck, and we'll say goodbye.